What's up, good people? My name is AJ, and you are watching Straight Talks. Here's a cool discussion for all of the college or university students out there. I got this as a request on one of my other videos. If you have anything that you'd like to hear me talk about in a different video, please feel free to leave that in a comment down below. Most likely I will. And if you are enjoying any of this content, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all that, and let's get into this one. I'm going to be talking about the most helpful finance courses to take in college. And just so you know my background, if you're new to the channel, I'm a CFA charter holder, I'm a financial advisor, and I work for a private wealth management firm. So you'd call private wealth management the subsector, I guess, in finance that I work in. Of course, there are certain courses that are going to be more beneficial depending on which area of finance you end up working in. I'm going to try to give general answers here and help you out in case you don't exactly know what part of the finance industry you want to be working in, on which classes are in general going to be the most beneficial towards a couple things: helping you understand the industry as a whole when you start making decisions on where you want to work at in the career, helping you understand what you're doing when you actually are working in the business. And then number three, if anyone's interested in CFA related content on this one, which finance undergrad courses are most beneficial to maybe help you prepare for the CFA exams. This is a cool video too because I talk about this with a lot of my friends, but I haven't really mentioned too much so on this YouTube channel, and there is a clear winner for me, and that is going to be accounting. Accounting might seem like kind of a troll answer because it's the general meme in the business world on like movies and television, but if you're serious about learning about the finance industry, learning anything about investing in stocks or bonds, learning more about what different parts of the industry do, or interested in having success on the CFA exams in the future, accounting is by far the best way to go. I never knew this when I was getting into college on how beneficial my accounting courses would be. And now that I work as a financial advisor, I never expected how much time I would spend talking about taxes with clients. Yes, I'm saying take as many accounting classes as you can, not just if you want to be an accountant. Of course, you'd have to do that, but for any sector in finance. If you want to work in buy-side investing, hedge funds, equity analyst, any private equity or mutual funds, and then the opposite side of that coin is sell side, so investment banking, M&A, whatever, accounting is all integral to those jobs, certainly. If you want to be a local mom and pop financial advisor, or if you want to work in an RIA, working with high net worth individuals, you're going to have to know a lot about their tax returns in those cases. I know in the accounting world, they kind of split between tax and audit. I don't work in the accounting field, so I don't totally understand all the differences between those two other than, you know, the obvious differences in what they are. I think about accounting a little differently now, which is corporate and individual. When I think back about the courses that I was taking in my undergrad college classes, my university classes, I segment them in my own mind between corporate accounting classes and personal tax return or personal accounting classes. Just get as many of them in as you can. I mean, you might not be interested in it, so I understand that my recommendation here might not sound like any fun, but what it'll certainly do if you do end up getting in 5 or 6 accounting classes over your university courses, whether that's a 3, 4, 5-year period, whatever, you'll know what you do and don't like better than if you hadn't taken those classes. And you'll also, in my argument here, is just you'll also have way more information than you otherwise would have. So, of course, Accounting 101, 201, or Accounting 1 and 2 and 3, I think they were called at my school. And then I took a class, I believe it was called Financial Reporting. The content for a class like that's going to be fairly similar to what you'll see in the CFA accounting sections, which is called Financial Reporting and Analysis. And then a valuations class, which very much had to do with the balance sheet, which has to do with the accounting practices at a business. If you know that you want to get into equity research or hedge funds or private equity or whatever, and you're like, oh, valuations, this is going to be super cool. I'm going to learn about like business models and trends and how this company competes in its industry relative to everyone else, how much they should be worth. 90% of what you're going to end up doing is looking at their balance sheet relative to their competitors and then doing some accounting and trying to figure out based on whatever cost of capital that you assign to that business, what they're worth. And it's all based on their accounting. Do Excel classes that teach you how to prepare and present financial statements on Excel. So that's going to be things like income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flows, whatever. You want to know how companies present that so that when you see those types of things, if you're doing equity research and you're just reading through a company's 10K like Warren Buffett does, right? You'll know what you're looking at because you have the background information on what each of those different types of line items can mean. But also if it's presented to you, maybe you're an angel investor and you have these startups presenting their financial statements to you, that's all done in Excel. You're going to want to know how to navigate that Excel document really well. So Excel classes that help you with your accounting skills, I think, are very good. Anything that has to do with corporate tax or personal tax planning is going to be really helpful for most parts of the finance industry. Those are all accounting classes. Accounting is just a way bigger deal than I ever thought, especially coming out of high school and probably during my first 2 years of college. But in the third and fourth years, and then even more so after starting in the workforce, I realized that it's the core of the financial industry, and you have to know how to do it. In a distant second place, I'm going to rank economics. Now, I don't care if you're doing micro or macro. Those are kind of the two big divisions in, at least in university studies when it comes to economics. They're both helpful. Really what an economics background is going to help you do is understand and then potentially communicate, if you're talking to clients or investors or writing a newsletter about some of these topics, potentially communicate abstract themes or theoretical concepts on how certain investments are being affected and how they might perform based on what you're seeing out there in the economy. In my opinion, there's not all that much real-world practical application that economic knowledge will bring you. In my job as a financial advisor in private wealth management, I use economics almost zero. I mean, sometimes clients will ask about supply and demand and that type of thing, and it can come up in conversations. But really, I probably don't remember 90% of the economics from my undergrad studies. Now, I remember a lot of the economics sections from the CFA program, and throughout the levels, I think econ normally averages like a 15% allocation. If you're thinking about doing the CFA program later on, sure, take your mandatory economics classes, of course, but then maybe one or two more because it can be a little bit helpful. Definitely not as helpful as accounting, though, to either your career, deciding where you want to work in finance, or the CFA exams. And then the person who asked me to make the video about this also said, hey, Jay, can you talk about the ones that are the least helpful? You know, I have some personal opinions on this, and honestly, when you talk about the least helpful classes that you had in college in relation to finance, that's probably going to be really dependent on the professor or the curriculum that class used. So for me, it was like business law. I don't use any of that information now. It was interesting. I actually enjoyed the class, but it wasn't helpful for my career or for passing the CFA exams later on. The marketing class I had, I think marketing is a very good thing to be good at. Sales is a great thing to be good at, but the marketing class I had did not benefit me in my current career or in the CFA exam. And those two would really be it. So I don't necessarily think those things are not important, but in my case, those classes I had did not benefit me all that much. Now, if you know exactly what subsector of finance you want to be working in, then of course you can gear some of your upper level classes in your third, fourth, or fifth years, or whatever your schedule looks like, towards classes that are more focused towards those things. For me, in my third year of college, I was kind of still exploring other parts of the buy side industry, so I took an angel investing course that was really interesting. We actually just compiled information on some potential portfolio companies to an angel investing group based out of Chicago for the semester, and after 3 months, they just took all the information we had and made their investment decisions based on it. So the class was cool because we had some real world usefulness for the work we were doing, but also because we got to learn about some of the little companies that were doing some fundraising and potentially talking about their growth tracks. It was a cool class, but not useful for what I'm working in now. Then in my fourth year, once I knew that I wanted to get back to the original idea I had of being a financial advisor, I started to take more classes that were more geared towards personal finances. And of course, those are helpful for my specific role. So I'm just saying that if you have an idea, and actually doing accounting classes early on can help you get an idea of what you want to be doing in your career, then in the third and especially the fourth year in your university studies, or maybe fifth, you can start to dial in and spend more time in classes that are going to directly apply to that subsector in the industry. An honorable mention here too is going to be anything to do with the human psychology or behavioral studies in the finance world. Whether you're doing corporate finance or investing, buy side, sell side, whatever, there is a lot of behavioral psychology or behavioral finance that you'll notice that can influence people and might influence how you want to make decisions. And level 3 of the CFA exam is pretty big on this type of stuff. It's really helpful in my current role, so I might be a little biased in this regard. But if your college or university offers anything about the psychology of investing or the psychology of money or behavioral finance, anything like that, I would sign up for it. I think that's all going to be information, barring it being taught by a horrible professor or something like that. I think it's all information that can be beneficial to anyone's career also. So if you want to add to any of the points I made here, please feel free to go ahead and do that in the comment section down below. Hash it out with anyone else if you disagree with what they're saying or disagree with what I was saying here. We can talk about it, but thanks for watching.